What's up, everybody? This is Matt from Work Hustle Freedom, and today we're going to take a look at the differences between an e-commerce sales funnel and an e-commerce store. Now, for our purposes, we use Clickfunnels for our e-commerce sales funnels. We also use them for a lot of other types of funnels, for lead captures and for giving away different lead magnets is definitely a tool that we use for many different things. For e-commerce, we personally use Shopify. We've used them for several years now and had great success with them. I think both of these are really good tools, valuable tools. They just have different uses, and we're going to touch on those right now. So let's get started. We're going to look at a typical e-commerce flow. If my screen will behave there, typical e-commerce store is set up like this. You have the traffic. And that could be, in this model, it's paid traffic, but it could be organic. Most of the time, it's from Facebook or Google ads or something like that. And most people send their traffic for their e-commerce store to a product page, and that'll list your product that you're showing in your ad, and then possibly other like products that are like related to the one that you're selling. And then from that product page, somebody will add to cart, and if you're fortunate enough, the add to cart will become, if the add to cart, once the person adds it to cart, if you're fortunate enough to have an upsell, you can present them with an upsell. The one problem that we've run into is that there's not really a solution that we found that works well. There's some that do it okay. A lot of the upsell apps that we found are glitchy. And they're not reliable, and so we've kind of shied away from offering them. We do it very minimally just because the trust isn't there. We haven't found a solution that works really well. And then from the upsell, they of course go to the checkout, and then after the checkout, you have the follow-up. If you're doing e-commerce correctly, of course, you have your other offers that you'll send out with products. You'll have typically that's done via email or retargeting, and it's just a way to get that average order value or average customer value up by sending them other offers. So this is how a typical e-commerce store is set up, the flow. One thing to think about with e-commerce stores is that they basically came about when brick and mortar stores went online. And so it was almost like, if you think back to like the 80s and 90s, if you're that old, Sears and JCPenney's actually had catalogs that they would send out seasonally, and they were just filled with, tons of different items, and they were usually arranged by department, much like their stores are. And that's kind of how e-commerce stores started, is that they were arranged in the same format, and they kind of expected people just to kind of go there and shop around. It wasn't actually a system that was designed to lead somebody through the sales process, and that's kind of the difference that we're going to look at here with sales funnels. So for an example e-commerce store, we'll get to that shortly. All right, so here you can see an example of a very popular e-commerce store. In fact, it's probably one of the most popular on Shopify. And as you can see, it's basically laid out like you'd see a catalog. You have some of the new arrivals here. If you click up on shop, they have various categories that then follow into subcategories. It's an excellently designed store, obviously, because it is one of the best sellers. If you're looking to create your own store, this is definitely one that you could emulate. The problem is that there's just so much here. You really do leave it to your customers to find their own way around. In our experience, if you have a good selling product, it's best to lead the customer rather than just open up the floodgates for them. So just something to think about. So what's wrong with an e-commerce store nowadays? And this goldfish plays right into it. So the attention span for an ill-focused goldfish is about 9 seconds. Very short, obviously, right? Well, people now generally lose concentration after a mere 8 seconds because of the fact that we're in the information age, probably coming on the high end of the information age. There's so much information. People always say now that the problem now isn't having lack of information, but it's how do we develop insights from the abundance of information that we have, because there's the natural flow of things is to get misinformation. So how do you know that the information that you have is valuable? It's just because we're always hooked up to our devices, which is great for marketers, means that we're getting inundated with information constantly. And that follows that we're spending 105% more time consuming media than we were just 5 years ago, and that number has probably even gone up. So the point is that if you take someone to an e-commerce site where everything is just kind of categorized like a brick and mortar store used to be in the olden days, the problem is that you have a very short window to capture your customer's attention. And if you fail to do so, chances are you've lost them. And so we just kind of wanted to look at that as it relates to an actual thing called decision fatigue that's in psychology. It basically says it right here. It says refers to a deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision making. Basically, it's saying that if you present somebody with too many choices, or if you force them to make multiple decisions, eventually they actually wear out and they just kind of shut down and won't make any decisions, which is why the e-commerce model has a flaw in the sense that you do run into that situation because somebody might be shopping on their phone, and if you force them to make too many decisions, not only do they get decision fatigue, but also their various other life requirements can get into the way, and pretty soon they just drop off. And so I guess what we want to look at now is how we can kind of mitigate some of these issues with an example sales funnel. And so what I'm going to show you here is how a basic sales funnel would be set up. And we actually use Clickfunnels. Like I said, a lot of people use Clickfunnels to sell information, products, coaching, webinars. It's great for that. It's worth its monthly fee just for that. We actually do use it to sell physical products. And this is a basic outline of how it looks for us. So we'll send traffic a lot of times via Facebook, or also we'll send it via other ad sources, and we'll send it to a lead capture page. It's kind of like a foot in door. All we want, if we show them the product and say, hey, if you want this, just give us your email address. And then we'll take them to the offer. Now the offer is what we showed them in the ad. And so it's got to be a great offer. It's not just a single product. Typically it's a bundle or something like that. And if someone takes the offer, we bring them to an upsell. We'll actually look at an example of this just shortly here. But then say they don't take the upsell. They say, no, I don't want the upsell. Well, then we take them to a downsell. And then in either way, if they take the upsell or they don't, we can send them to another upsell. Just like a side note, one thing that one phrase they use is a OTO, which is a one-time offer. Russell Brunson, one of the owners of Clickfunnels, actually calls it an OTO in all of his books, which is basically what we're dealing with here, a one-time offer. And if they either if they accept the upsell or they don't, and they go to the downsell, they hit that final upsell, and then they go to a thank you page. You can even have a downsell on that second OTO as well, or that upsell, and then also go to the thank you page ultimately in the end. And then, of course, we do have the same kind of follow-up with other offers and products via email and retargeting. But what's interesting to note here, and you'll see this in the example, is that we're not showing the customer anything more than what we want to show them. We're taking them on a journey. We're not giving them a map and saying, hey, have fun, like kind of like that scene in Willy Wonka, like when he goes into the giant room full of candy and just kind of puts his arms down, the children go wild. That's not what we're doing here. We're walking in and saying, hey, this is something that you might be interested in. We're actually taking them on a journey that we've designed specifically for that customer. And as a result, we get much higher conversion rates and we get much higher average order value. And so now we're going to take a peek at an example funnel. And so on the other hand, here's a basic flow of a funnel. Now this is a very basic funnel. Keep in mind, I wouldn't actually use any of the products that I've had shown in here. These products have been hit really hard, and they're probably not going to do anything for you. But if you'd like to try, go ahead. At one time, it probably would have made you quite a bit of money. But anyway, when you go to the funnel, you'd click into from the ad, and you'd see something like this that would say, hey, grab your LED dog collar before they're gone. You click this button, and you can have either one of two things happen. You can have a little window pop up that has them enter their email and name, or you can just have it take them to the next page, which is what we did in this case. So we had it take them to the next page. As you can see here, they were able to pick 1, 2, 3, or 4. We added shipping onto it, and then they'd basically enter their name here, and shipping, and then they can just click this button to make their billing address the same, and then it would kind of summarize their order down here. They'd say, yes, send me my dog collar. You should have your business info down here. Once they submit that, then the upsell kicks in. It says, hey, would you like to add one more dog collar to your order for $9.99 more, or just $9.99 more? Keep in mind, back here they were paying $19.99. They got a slight discount if they bought more, but now this is like an irresistible offer, right? I mean, they already have it anchored in their mind that it's a $19.99, and here you're going to double my order for just $9.99. I could get 2 different colors, or maybe I have 2 dogs, or whatever. This is where 40% took it comes in, which is just almost pure profit, since you're already sending it to them anyway, and really shipping doesn't cost anymore. And so you have, yes, add the dog collar to my order, or no thanks. Like I said, 40% took it, and then that would go into upsell 2, which is, wait, your order is not complete. Would you like to add an LED dog tag to your order for just $9.99? Around 25% took this as well. And then it has, yes, please add, or click here to say no thanks. Again, that's a second upsell. And then after they go through all of this, they go to a congratulations order summary, and this would update with whatever they purchased. A cool thing you can do here is actually, and this is actually what we did, is we put items here that were like related to what we had sold in the funnel, that were actually available in our Shopify store. So you can have them link over to your Shopify store right away and actually get some sales. And it does work quite well, especially if you put a discount in there. So that's just a brief overview of a very basic funnel. There's some that look really pretty, and I'm going to tell you something I've noticed is some of the sites and some of the funnels that sell the best, you look at them and think, man, they're ugly. And some of the ones that look the prettiest do not convert, which is why I think web designers have a big issue with building sites that actually convert, because they're artists and they want to make everything look pretty. Where Clickfunnels really excels is the fact that everything is based on actual testing, and but their primary concern is making you more money. And so that's where it's really valuable, I think. So, do funnels work? Well, in our experience, our conversion rate went from about 3% on our Shopify store to 11% on that front end. Our average order value more than doubled. And here's the kicker, why that happened. The reason why our average order value doubled is because we had a 40% take on our first upsell, which means somebody basically bought another item right away. And we never have seen those kind of stats on our Shopify store. So we suggest that if you have a winning product, or if you have a product that's breaking even and you feel like if you could just squeeze a little bit more out of it, you could make it a winner, I would suggest throwing it into a funnel, because you're going to get a higher conversion rate and you're going to be able to add more value to the customer using one-time offers or upsells to basically, even if you didn't get cheaper conversions with your ads, you're going to be getting more money from the sale, which can shoot it up into profitability. And then, as Dan Kennedy, I believe, said, the person who can afford to spend more for the customer wins. And so that's basically what we're trying to mitigate here. If you cannot lower your ad costs, as we all know ad costs are going up, what you have to do is increase the amount of money you're going to get from the customer. So, all that said, I know it's a lot of information. We have more information on our site, so feel free to check it out, workhustlefreedom.com. But what I do also want to bring to your attention is we have a free course that teaches you how to make up to $4,000 a month. And here's the kicker. It's in as little as 90 days. It's 100% free. All it takes is an email. I'm sorry, we have to make you pay with one email. But if you go through the course, you'll have 90% of what you need to create a business that will bring you reoccurring $4,000 plus per month. And like I said, you can do this in as little as 90 days. We have everything in there for you. Absolutely no excuse why it can't work for you. So if you've been struggling to make some money with e-commerce or with Clickfunnels or with just online business, blogging, whatever, I would suggest trying this out, because what would $4,000 do for you and your family potentially? It could get you to the point where you don't have to work your day job. You don't have to worry about paying those bills. You can focus on the other things like building your e-commerce store, like building your brand, like doing Amazon FBA, all very valiant efforts, but a lot easier to focus on when you don't have to worry about paying those bills. So go ahead, click the link below in the description. Go ahead and check it out. We'd love to have you. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email me, Matt@workhustlefreedom.com. Thank you and have a great one. We'll see you on the next video.